fact is, a number of years ago, growing up, I came out of a family. If you had looked at our family, it really looked like Leave It to Beaver. The truth is, on the inside, it was very much like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I had a dad that was really addicted to alcohol. At the age of 12, standing on a stairway with my mother, my father loaded a 12-gauge shotgun and aimed it at us and pulled the trigger. And the gun jammed, thank God, and he tried to get it to fire 3 more times. What that did to me, I think, as a 13-year-old or 12-year-old boy, is that it shut me down emotionally. And I made a decision. I can still remember the day I made the decision that that was it. Nobody would ever hurt me again. As a teenager, I was at a boarding school in Northern Ontario, and my mom became ill with cancer, and one of the priests came to me and said, "You know, David, your mom is not doing well. She may not make it, and we need to know what to do with you, and we're thinking of putting you back with your dad." And the thought of that was just so incredibly terrifying to me. The problem was that I would never talk to anyone about how I was feeling. I didn't know how to express those emotions. I tied happiness to material success. I really thought that if one had sufficient financial resources to live in a nice home, to drive a nice car, to have the right woman, to be able to travel, that you would be happy. What I didn't understand was that happiness is a byproduct of living correctly and living right. Well, I made a decision to return to school. I enrolled at Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, British Columbia. In truth, I made my first film in graduate school when I was admitted into the MA program in communication theory. I realized that this was what I wanted, but I was driven again to get an education, to start making films, to succeed, because I thought I would be happy. I hooked up with somebody that was quite talented and remarkable, and we, early on, acquired a great deal of success. I had Philip directed a film that was nominated for an Academy Award. The next thing is we produced a film called The Grey Fox, which has been considered by many of the world's critics as one of the finest feature films in the history of English language Canada. And I've often said to people, it was like riding the head of an unguided ballistic missile. So the book is based on this very simple principle. There was a man named Jack Boland, he was a minister at Unity, who said there's 8 steps. So the first half of my book tells in a general way the story I've just told you. The second half starts with step 1, which is to recognize I'm powerless. There are 8 simple steps that when I utilize them using spiritual principles, and it doesn't matter whether you're Catholic, Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, it's recognizing that each one of us has a belief in something greater than we are, that when we ask it for help, we get it. So it's not important to me what you believe, it's just important that you believe. I think that for many of us, we don't recognize our humanity, and we don't recognize how flawed we are, and we're trained not to. And depending on our upbringing, often inadvertently and innocently, our parents trying to do the right thing based on their own experience growing up, pass on intergenerationally unhealthy behaviors and thinking. I suffered from massive codependency as a result of being raised in an alcoholic family. For me, I kept picking people that could not give me what I needed. I looked for people that were incapable of loving me, incapable of supporting me. When I was 35, I lost roughly $5.2 million. If you fast forward, I became abstinent from all mood-altering substance over a quarter of a century ago. I was in my 30s, and I began to really examine what happened to me. Why, at the age of 35, and particularly having achieved so much, did I self-destruct? What was it in me that triggered me to get in business with people that were unhealthy, that couldn't give me what I needed? What was it in me that felt that I wasn't good enough, that I felt inferior to others? My bottom came in New York City. And I walked into St. Patrick's Cathedral in Manhattan. I got on my knees and I said, if there's a God, please help me. What I can tell you is that was the beginning of the journey that led me to write this book. And the experiences I had as a result of writing this book are the following. I am just so happy today. I'm so grateful for the fact that my life has turned around, that I've enjoying peace of mind and happiness.